So it is being recorded, but we didn't get the notification
Oh,
because
that's right. We were already being recorded on our note taker. Hey, everybody, YouTube and people out in the future, welcome. It's October 2nd, 2025, and this is the Gimbalabs Open Spaces. We do it on Thursdays at 14:30 or 2:30 UTC, where we come together and talk about our projects and things going on in the Gimbal Labs community. We just finished our check-in round. If you'd like to check in with us, hey, come and join our Zoom, which is in our Discord. Lots of great things to update about today. So we'll kick off this first section, which is agenda setting. Harsha and I put together a little bit of an agenda, and I'll bring that up on the screen right now. Um, as we do. And can you see that? So this is our season six. This is season six of the Gimbal Labs, and we are in the open spaces right now. This is our running agenda, things that we kicked off in September. Today is the 2nd of October, and our big thing to do is to review the Summer of Collaboration. Um, we've done this part, we've done this part, and are there any before we get into the review, I'd like to talk about this start here page. This is the main dashboard for Gimbal Labs. And it's organized into phases or sections: proposal, planning, and progress, pause, done, canceled. Uh, I kind of wanted to talk about these. I feel like we need to clean these up a bit. Or if there's any of these projects that are in progress um, that need an update. For instance, drafting a marketing plan. Like we could just throw a dart. Does anybody have any updates? I know that we've got some updates from just brief updates from the um, community community portal, which is in progress down here.
I could say that on the videos project, all the videos are now created and edited. I'm just waiting for confirmation from Seb that they're all on YouTube. Once I've got that, then that can be closed out. So that's good. We're
Nice.
done almost, almost.
That's good. That's perfect. Actually, the and thanks, Andrew. And the next one, in line is this summer of collab season of collab, which we can after our update we can move into the done category, which will be so exciting. But before we get into that, we've got this DREP community platform. Harsha, we wanted to talk about that one.
sure.
Nelson.
So what we decided was that whenever, so on a daily basis, not on a daily basis, like whenever we meet for open spaces, we'll do like a quick check-in for projects in progress. And this is not going to take forever. It's going to be 2 to 3 minutes at most. We'll just say what we have done through the week. So I'll be
Yeah.
covering DREP community platform for today, and help me out if I miss something, Newman and Nelson. So first we tried to set up the project, and we got blocked while setting up the project because we couldn't figure out how to set up the course. So James, we need a little bit of help from you with that. And we, so we, yeah, so we created
Wait a
a
minute.
repo in Gimbalabs. We created a repo for this
Uh,
in Gimbalabs as well, and we added all the necessary members in that. And then Nelson added all the whatever the code base that he created up until now, he had added it there. And I sent like a quick pull request today, my first pull request, so I'm pretty happy about that. And what else am I missing, guys? Fill me in.
well, we got the drep.gimballabs.com subdomain. That
Oh
was pretty
yeah, I
cool.
forgot about that. Yes, we did.
Yeah, so that one's in the done column. Let's move that one up here.
Oh, and
Um,
Adrian wrote the validator uh, to make it to make the platform actually decentralized. We didn't write the tests yet, but the validator is written.
Oh, nice. Okay. Nice. Okay. It's kind of exciting. The fork it's open and going, and it's looking for contributors. If you want to get involved, see James, go ahead.
And Harsha, is there already a course module that just needs to be published?
So we weren't sure how to create the course module because it wasn't giving us any options of adding courses. We thought we'll just add the Gimbalabs, basic Gimbalabs course. Welcome to Gimbalabs or something where you have to attend the open spaces and stuff. I forgot what the name of the
Yeah,
course was.
okay, so getting started at Gimbalabs, we can use that.
Yeah.
Oh, but is it
Yeah,
not giving you that as a choice in the
No,
list?
it isn't.
exactly. Yeah,
I
that's
see.
exactly.
Okay, great. Noted, and I'll follow up on that.
Nice. Nice. Whenever I get a chance to drop in a bug
Yeah.
report in the Endamio Discord, I'm pretty happy about it.
Yeah. So this
Um,
and then putting in the initial 6,000 ADA into the treasury. I don't know if we can do
yeah.
it. We'll try to do it if we have permission to do it. If not, we need your help, James.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that would be out of sustain and maintain Gimbalabs and into the new DREP community portal project, which we were able to set up. But I don't know about like adding members, like all that type of stuff. So yeah. So there's some things in that spot. Yeah.
Yeah, we could do like a live session on that tomorrow or early
Mhm.
next week.
That'd be nice.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, and one last vibe check about DREP community platform. So I had a small suggestion to make the DREP community platform relatable for others as well. So currently we are using sustain and maintain as like a filter for people who can participate in the DREP voting part. But I was thinking we need to check for any wallet that has delegated to Gimbalabs DREP to participate in voting. If that makes sense, just give a thumbs up. If it doesn't, you don't have to give a thumbs up. It's just getting a
Yeah.
vibe check to add that feature or not.
Yeah. Lewis and Andrew are giving the thumbs up. Do you understand what we're doing? It's basically who can participate in this portal. Yeah, Nori is giving a thumbs up. So I feel like that's a good number. Yeah,
Tivo
Tevo has got
raised
his
his
hand up.
hand. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
I have some concerns about that. It would be easy to just have multiple wallets and just spam the voting. At least it's possible. Don't think someone will do it, at least at the beginning. But in future, maybe if Gimbalabs DREP has more power, that would be easily possible.
Oh, so you're saying like someone would distribute their ADA into different wallets and
Right.
then
Exactly. And then each wallet would have one voting power.
I see. I see what you're saying. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Interesting. Yeah. So yeah, that makes sense. I don't know what to do about it. Nelson, if you have any ideas, let me know.
Well, technically, or as I understand, there is also PBL before you can do the DREP voting. And was it just general Andamio course or is it
Yeah,
specific course for DREP?
so there is
And
no
then like is it and or option? So I
correct.
can be a stake pool delegator and I get to vote, or also have to have the course, or if I do the course, I don't have to delegate.
Oh, I see. So yeah, right now we are for anyone that is contributor in sustain and maintain, can participate in it. Yeah. Yeah, and or as I think and makes most sense. And also I have a small question just based on that, Adrian. If we use the stake address, would it not help? Like, they can
Yeah,
have
I mean
multiple. Yeah.
it's as easy to create wallets with different payment paths as it is with creating some with different staking paths.
Oh, I see. Yeah, makes
But I
sense.
think the approach with having also done one of the Gimbalabs courses or participating in them, I think that's a good filter,
Okay,
as
sounds good.
you can be more or less sure that it is a real person, as
Right.
it
Yeah.
is some form of proof of work as you have to do something.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, I like that idea. Yeah, makes sense. Cool.
And it can be multiple, like multiple credentials, like this, the and part. It's staked, and the whole idea is to prove that they're an actual person. But this will probably be farther on down the line. This will be farther on down the line because right now it's just us chickens here. Andrew's got his hand up.
Yeah, just on that discussion, that makes sense. What Adrian was saying, really, because I mean, I guess it is one thing to be delegated to the Gimbalabs DREP, but then it is maybe a separate thing to be actually be able to vote in it, and then maybe having that as a course that you have completed at Gimbalabs is maybe a better way of guarding it. It doesn't necessarily have to be an and. That's just my 2 pence on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so the reason I mentioned that is because we were thinking this is a tool that could be used outside of Gimbalabs as well.
Right. Building now for like more adoption, like as like a because one of the things that we want out of the project is a Fund 15 proposal. So we want to write a proposal and make it like a community standard or an open source, a tooling, add to the community tooling. All right. And okay, I feel like are there any other project updates before we go into
Can you clarify? Here in the descriptions you write delegate to the stake pool, or do you mean delegate to the DREP? Or both? Nori mentioned DREP, but
Yeah, I
yeah.
meant DREP actually, not the stake pool. Yeah.
But yeah, well, let's just put that was just a mistake, I think then. A qualifier. Yeah, and basically the discussion is, I think, who is qualified to work on this portal, and this is the way it looks right now. Okay. I think we're ready for Nori. Are we ready to shift gears? Yeah,
Sure. Good to go.
let's do it. Yeah, let's do it. And I imagine, do you want to share your screen? I'm thinking. You've got slides. I don't know if you can do that. Let's see if you can.
Yeah, I can share. Hold on. All right. Can you see that?
Yep, I think so. Yep.
Alrighty. This is Obsidian, and it has a handy dandy slide mode, if I can remember how to activate it. There we go.
Nice.
All right. So this is just a little after action report on the Odin season of collaboration. In just before the season 5 shutdown, we came and asked for some funding and Gimbalabs matched some funding that was provided from the Leadership Academy. So we went into the season with 10,000 ADA, 5,000 of that from Gimbalabs. So it enabled us to have a little bit of a treasury to fund this season. So this is just kind of what happened. So the mission of the thing, let me see if I can collapse this so it doesn't, was to foster real collaboration across the Odin network. One of the big goals was to reduce siloism and act in the network. And that was one of the hypotheses was nodes in a network tend to work in isolated silos. And we wanted to figure out ways that we could kind of break that habit and make things much more collaborative. So we wanted to run experiments and learn together, build reusable collaboration patterns, and enable teal principles in real terms. And by teal, we primarily mean Sociocracy 3.0 as kind of a toolkit, but there's a broad category of different stuff. The core rhythms that we established, we had some daily and weekly practices that came up. So we started doing daily asynchronous stand-ups to enable global time zone participation, kind of reduce siloism by knowing what everyone was up to. We had a weekly walk and talk where we did informal ideation and personal connection. We had our weekly community meetings, and a lot of those were technical, focused on reflection, planning, and feedback. While we were in the season of collab, it wasn't our usual community meetings. We were much more focused on the sprints because we were doing weekly sprints. And then there were a lot of ad hoc co-working sessions that popped up as people did different things. The TL principles that we really noticed, we created some role descriptions. So we created the role of harvester and cultivator as a means. It was kind of an evolved version of facilitator and secretary, and enabled shadowing and trial experiences. So people who wanted to try out a role didn't have to do it all by themselves. They had somebody who knew the role a little bit better, being able to show them what was going on, and then they could shadow and kind of fill in and then take the full role the next week. The weekly rhythms kind of built a safe space for both high performance and uncertainty-based contributions. So there was a lot of emergent stuff that happened. And then in the final report, somebody mentioned individual autonomy with purpose alignment created eerie coherence, which means that all of our activities were eerily coherent, even though everybody was kind of working with autonomy and we didn't have a high level plan set in stone when we set out for things. One of the cornerstones of what we did is we experimented with at least 8 different distribution methods. We had our treasury and we wanted to really figure out what's a really great way to distribute money based on contributions every week. So we did some fractal democracy, something called the happy money story, a give it away. We did some spreadsheet-based faceted evaluations, a couple of versions of those, and then Tevo brought one from his thinking and experiment, and then we had a couple of sociocratic-based happy money stories where we did rounds and it kind of improved things as we went. So those are all kind of things that we've experimented with, and I think part of it is we're still writing up each of these as patterns, and that's something to look forward to. Some key learnings from those incentive patterns. Weekly assessments enable self-alignment and fluid contribution. Structured methods are faster than loose procedures. Multifaceted perspectives are surprisingly fast. And most evaluations were consistent across contributors. And when they weren't, it really created a really great opportunity for conversation and alignment. And we saw that kind of happen in some of the happy money story rounds. Big learnings, how we work matters. So synchronous meetings are powerful, like this one, for meta-level convergence and retrospectives and things like that. But asynchronous methods increase worldwide participation, but also at a cost of time and alignment. So asynchronous culture is hard to cultivate, but patterns like async daily stand-up protocols help. And also we found that just how documentation guidance doesn't really engage people. So it's really great to have video explanations as well as real participation. Those kind of things work better. Big learnings around culture, building collaborative muscle memory. So repeated exposure to propose, clarify, concern, object, consent process creates muscle memory for that kind of TL mindset. Narrowing domain scope made strong difference in actionability rather than having it really vague. Weekly rhythms and rotations made safe spaces for trials and building experience, and explicit spaces for reflection enabled evolution. So we had a number of different experiments on how we did retrospectives and reflections. Some of the tools and artifacts that were created, a lot of collaborative Sparks content. Collaborative Sparks is a website that's being stood up to capture TL patterns and collaborative patterns and things like that and share them with the community. We have a bunch of domain development templates and tension driver development worksheets. We created an async consent document template so that consent can be done in an asynchronous fashion without having to meet face to face. We have proposal templates, and then we created some maps of content and a tracker in a spreadsheet just to kind of track everything we did over time. Technology experiments, we did use Andamio for rewards distribution. And then Discord forums were used really heavily for async communication, sprint channels, and daily stand-ups. So those were our two primary tools. Miro was also used for all of our meetings to record stuff. Some challenges and tensions. Sprint goals are hard to create in a loose network without strong purpose or goal for the sprint.
Yeah.
Although emergent goals work surprisingly well. But really didn't align well with pre-planning the sprint. And so relaxing into some of that unknown and emergence was one of those things we kind of played with that tension. And then another one was harvesters. We shifted from retrospectives to harvesters, trying to capture everything that happened and capturing the group learnings. And we found that that's not quite as effective as just having a group retrospective where everyone contributes to that. Group mind is definitely more powerful in finding patterns and surfacing them. Key insights. I'm going to skip over some of this. Let's see. There was a lot of different integrated experience from across the network, from Intersect, Cardano, After Dark, Gimbalabs, Swarm, Andamio. Made space for asynchronous actors to feel connected and build belonging, created visibility through our daily sync practice. I'm going to go through these really quickly because they're not quite as applicable here, but based on our experience, some of our recommendations for the next season that people are really interested in doing are continuing the weekly rhythms, stand up, walk and talk planning, invest in video explanations for key process onboarding, focus on specific project domains for context, and balance synchronous with asynchronous. And that is
Yay.
it. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's our basic presentation. And we have a number of people here who were around,
Yeah.
like Lewis and Newman and Tevo and others. So feel free to jump in if I missed anything key.
No, that was wonderful. Absolutely. Absolutely. Does anybody have any sort of questions or any reflections? Yeah. For my part, I think that the emergent quality of those goals and how it sort of shifted throughout the season, like like really getting to understand the experiments, especially the compensation experiments. Using Andamio and having like a group of tasks that we were doing each week and participating in different ways was really good. Tebo or Lewis. I'm really excited to try it again either next June, June, July, August, or and maybe like a smaller one in December.
It was fun talking about J-term.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
A J term, meaning like a little, it's just like a break term between your normal school stuff. Yeah.
And this is just an example of the Andamio. These are all the task commitments that we did and paid out. Actually, we need to remind Jeff that he has something to claim still. He has 61 ADA that he hasn't claimed. But you can see we kind of went through the different sprints, 12, 6, 9, 11, 8, etc. And did all of our sprint rewards through the Andamio platform. And people were able to go in and claim them. And, so yeah, I just wanted to share that bit.
Talking about like thinking and acting like a network, which is how Odin that was what we started the season with. Our last season was all about networkiness. And I do think like those daily stand-ups, even though there were issues with them, they really did sort of bring the room together. They especially folks that were in different time zones, because I know that I could wake up and there would be Alex, from Vietnam, uh, explaining his sort of daily life and his contribution and how he was getting along. And I feel like he took that and really ran with it. He was just like, oh, here's a community that is interested in me. And, he gave pretty, it was just like it was like a little show that we all listened in on. Um, but then the other one were those little ad hoc zones of collaboration, like where we would get together and do work on some task together. To be honest, everybody, that is what I'm looking for all the time. Like when I wake up in the morning, that's what I want to look. I want to work shoulder to shoulder with siblings, with peers on some big process. And then I want to, bring that to other folks. But that feeling definitely happened several times during the season. um, you know, working on Andamio and getting the payments resolved, and working on collaborative Sparks. Yeah, yeah.
And when Joe reached out and said, "Hey, the Mato Collective has a tokenomics paper. We're willing to put in $500 if the Odin collab crew would like to review it," and 4 or 5 people jumped in and helped her
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, that's sort of, you know, again, a network acting like a network. It's just like, oh, okay, now we have a purpose and we can jump in on it. Like right now, for instance, our network, 3, 4, 5 of us are working on this DREP portal, and it's just there's a sense of not urgency, but a sense of momentum, you know. And that's what those weekly sprints did for us. It was tiring over the summer. I'm definitely tired from it. We did a lot. We just look at all that stuff that we did. Uh, and it felt fun and compensated. We weren't volunteering, it was a funded thing. Um, I yeah, yeah. And I'm the iterative process, getting the because we did it the very next week. For instance, Lewis, with this cultivator role, even though the harvester role was problematic, the cultivator role, which was somebody to seed and sort of uh, mind the garden, somebody that was always in the Discord, interacting and connecting with people, um, and I guess facilitating. I guess they were facilitating. But Lewis, like, iterated the role because he's a relatively new guy and just changed it up and just very, very clear changes, little small things that he changed in the way he did it, and everybody did it in a different way, and the good things carried on. Yeah, that was a real benefit or a learning from the thing.
At the beginning, when I engaged, I wasn't really sure what was the season of collaboration, and I think the context and the mock files and all of these files were like all over the place, and there wasn't really like an onboarding flow at the beginning. Um, and yeah, over time, over the several weeks, then the PBL started to come together, and that I think that was interesting, and maybe it all was a bit confusing because every week I joined, it was already new sprint. I was like, okay, I'm gonna get up to speed. Okay, now
Yeah.
okay, this is what we're gonna do, and then I'm gonna join next session, and like, okay, all of this is now like, forget it. Some that stuff got done, some got like dropped, and they got dropped forever, basically.
Yeah.
So. And another thing was at the beginning, there was more of this outreach to get other people engaged in a way to share proposals or ideas, what to work on, like a longer term projects, not just print. Or maybe they were meant to be prints, but I didn't understand that because we had like other networks coming in, sharing proposals and like stuff to do, but they were like big projects that could be done in a small weekly 1 to 2 week sprints. But there was, I think, where we failed was keeping that link like kind of active, or like even there was this engagement. Okay, like what's the next step? But getting further to get the domain stuff and like fixing it into the sociocratic element so that there is a proposal against the call out that was
Yeah.
like discrepant. And I think at the halftime of the social, like the season of collaboration, there was less of this like outreach networking too. And more these people who already kind of figured
Yep.
out what's happening here and was able to continue to share their projects and able to kind of yeah, either contribute to existing projects or keep their own projects kind of alive with the motion of in that like spirit that we had. Only they, I would say, stayed in the and continued to collaborate. And yeah, where the collaboration, I guess, I did like was because the documentation of how we work and what sources we use, that was pretty good in a sense, like at least for me, when I was taking up the harvester role, the background information was quite extensive. And then a sudden drop off in the harvester doc itself, like how to do it was like pretty dismal. And so I put a lot of effort, like structuring it myself the way I would have visioned it. Um, yeah, and then I think it kind of was interesting to see how the iterative things evolved over time, and because some of them like were recurring weekly. But
Yeah.
yeah, a bit sad that not all the projects are like there wasn't even clear way of like understanding what went wrong with some other initiatives that got involved but didn't continue to engage. And yeah, of course, the distribution stuff, that was also like iterative thing that we all worked on. And I guess these were like the collaboration points.
Yeah, that's excellent feedback. Um, and it sort of points to how to iterate it. I would love, and Nori, what do you think? I mean, do you think we'll do another one?
Possibly. Also, that's a good point. There is a season of collab catalyst proposal. If you look up the word collaboration, it's the only proposal in all of Fund 14 with the word collaboration in the title, even though catalyst stated purpose is, we all know what that is. So I found that amusing, but that's, I think Newman put that up to fund
Yeah.
another season of collaboration at a
Yeah.
larger scale.
And some of the points that Tevo brings up are definitely, you know, one change might be to shift to 2 week sprints and be more because it does the pace of things was off, because it was just the next thing started by the time so you really had like 1 or 2 days of effort time, and by then we're already all sort of tired. But Andamio really helped out with the onboarding. We can tell the story of Jeff, who, like in that middle time when the original sort of projects that got put on in that middle time, Jeff showed up and was just like, how do I do this? And we were like, oh, here's an onboarding course. And he went away and then came back and he knew how to participate. He kind of fully formed, I think is what you had said, Nori. He showed up, he's like, oh, yeah, I'm ready. So that in my mind was a proof of concept that these courses and credentials work. Yeah.
On the other side of that, the treasury distribution and felt like very clunky. Horrible experience.
Yeah. Yeah. We've talked a bit about that. Nora, you wanna put our caveat there? It's funny because
Yeah.
you used a word and I was like, is he using that word right? Do you remember? You know the word I'm talking about?
What word?
It was, you had said we abused the system, and I'm like, oh, abuse. Yeah, I guess we did abuse the system of
A little bit.
yeah,
Because the seasonal collab didn't have tasks. We didn't assign
yeah,
things or have bounties. We were basically like the incentive ones were, okay, we just finished a sprint. What incentivization experiment do we want to run? And we defaulted to happy money, which is basically somebody says, I saw Newman do this and Jeremy do this, so we should pay 100 ADA, 150. And then that's their story. And then everybody has to say, I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
If not, you do another iteration until eventually you're happy. And then we take what that is and we wanted to pay it out. And we had to go in and create tasks, and people had to come in and accept the task,
Yeah.
submit the evidence, and then we had to approve it, and then they had to come and claim it. So it was a
Yeah.
little bit of a hoop jumping to get all the funds out. So that's kind of one of the things maybe Odin can help develop, is more of a embedding some of these incentivization mechanisms in, rather than being task-based, be more distribution focused based on some criteria.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
We could talk for a while about it. Does anybody else have questions about Odin, about the season of collab? And we could move this project, because I know it's so exciting for everybody. I know I'm excited when it happens. I'll share my screen that we can move this over into the done category.
Exciting.
Can you
While
guys
you're
see
doing
this
that,
now? Yep.
Yep. I dropped the
Okay.
link into chat. I put all of our artifacts, meeting transcripts, and everything into a specialized ChatGPT instance. So you can totally query that about what happened and all of that. So there's a resource for you to explore if you want, to take a look at what happened.
Oh, I had a question, but
And Newman, I think we might have to move on to
I know.
Maureen's proposal.
I know.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do this part. So it goes from in progress
I
into
think the
done.
final thing to know is that from next week there is a community meeting for Odin to kind of get the network updates. But I hope and vision that this coming month we are establishing a new operational activities and be more streamlined in how do we recognize and do our stuff before we start another experiments we're gonna do anyway. But like the next focus is like here you established here like the notion, but we'll see where we land on the Odin.
Yeah. That sounds good. Okay, so we finished that proposal. Thank you so much, Nori. Thanks, Tevo, for giving the feedback. Everybody that participated. All right, what do you think is next? I know that okay, so let's go over into our
So Maureen's proposal is next.
Maureen.
Hi guys.
Hey.
Maureen, hey, what's going on? Do you have some updates or some presentation you want to talk about Ada experts here?
Yeah, I do. Please give me a
Nice.
minute to join from my computer.
Sure, no problem. I'll bring up the proposal that is in the proposal phase up here. Ada experts improvements. Nice. And I know that you had presented on it. Was it just last week? Maybe it was. Yeah. Wow, was that just a week ago?
Yes.
Time flies. Oh, Tevo, do you have yeah, I see your hands up. Do you have something for us?
Yeah, so regarding the other experts, I looked at last week's call and I see like huge red flags in this kind of platform in a sense that I felt like this has been tried several times before. And on the other side, I feel like they kind of already exist and just wondering what would be the difference of having like the skill network in Lido Nation or in different, like we have or basically platforms where there are people registered and they have information there, and there are uh, like LinkedIn and all these Web2 tools where there is already information too. And oftentimes, like, you don't really even look for specific skilled people. And if you do, it's like very specific time, but most likely you outreach the project and the skills come to you. You just kind of call out for specific skill and people come to you. So I wonder, like, what makes this site attractive if you people are not coming there to find people?
So, and this is a good discussion to have because I think what Tevo is saying is that this type of community directory has been tried before, and we can definitely, that's one of the values of our community and network, and why we're happy that Maureen is bringing it to us, is that we've seen these types of projects go, and how people discover, experts or collaborators in an ecosystem. This kind of gets to network presence and credentialing. It's like, okay, anybody can say that they do this, but how do you really make judgments and do the very real thing about putting a team together or collaborate? So hopefully we can start a good discussion about this. Uh, Maureen, are you ready to jump in? Or does anybody else have, because I think, and this, I put this down in the, as sort of my notes about this season, like I really do think that membership, um, like what does it mean to be a member of Gimbal Labs? Um, how to participate in the Cardano network, the this type of network, a builder network, the Andamio network, like, and it, and I've talked about this before, but one of the original Gimbal Labs things that I really was happy about was that Miro board with all of the profiles on there, and that I could see like what everyone's, and they would, especially when it would be updated. And I tried to update mine for a while, but I feel like this does give us a chance to talk about that. And so let's talk about like what it is to be members, and like, what are the values and things around there, and especially of having a profile. All right, I've done rambled enough. Maureen, do you have something to say about this before you get into your talk, or what did you want to bring to us today?
Yes, I just wanted to comment on what Tevo said. Tevo, that's a fair point. I think there are other Cardano directories out there, and there is also professional places like LinkedIn and Fiverr. Um, but I haven't seen any of these Cardano platforms you mentioned gain any traction. But what I see is people keep asking in Discord channels and Telegram groups and Twitter spaces about whether or not you know a Cardano designer, whether or not you know Cardano accountants and stuff like that. Now, um, I think what makes ADA experts different is it's not going to just be a Cardano tool. As far as this proposal is concerned, we want to make it multi-chain. Um, so from the start, if someone is building on Cardano and they need, say, Ethereum expertise, or they want to just network with other people from other ecosystems, then they can do that on this platform. And I do realize that the name at this point is ironic when I'm talking about multiple ecosystems, but don't worry. I did write in the proposal that it's a feature that is going to come like towards in the middle of it. So we are going beyond basic listings and company connections. We are going to add things like event tracking and participation history, like fun stuff. We are building a full professional networking platform, not just listing a bunch of names. And also Actually, I think honestly, if there is a thriving Cardano directory that I'm not aware of, Devo, I would love to see it. Um, I think competition means the problem is worth solving, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And we are not trying to compete for the same narrow slice anyway. So, uh, yeah, there are other things that I've listed in the document. I don't know if that's a document that is being displayed here.
Oh, I was wondering if my screen was being shared. No, I was looking for the proposal. Do you know what to search for the proposal? And then I can also I can bring up this document. What should I search for to find the proposal in Catalyst? So I thought A to expert.
It's not on Catalyst.
Oh, you don't have a Catalyst proposal. Oh, okay. Okay.
No.
Oh, all right, all right. But there's this one, and there is this one, this one. Okay.
Okay. So do you mind if I share my screen instead?
Sure, of course.
Okay. Window.
But I mean, I guess I wanna hear from folks if they feel like it the idea of having a profile is something that you do or that you is important. Oh, go ahead, Nori.
Just reflecting on some of the comments like from Tevo and others. One thing I've always wondered is why there isn't like a SIP or something that says, here's a standard way to put your profile and everything on chain. And then all these directories and stuff could be feeding off of the same data source and just have their own unique spin on it and filter and UX and experience, but the underlying data is like it's on chain and anyone can use it, and it really opens up this as a standard way of basically broadcasting who you are, what you're capable of. Maybe there's some attestation stuff. We can talk about how Andamio thinks about credentials and that kind of stuff, but having like, I would love to see a SIP that says, here's how we do this kind of stuff on chain, and then have everybody, Lido and Ada experts and George and everybody just kind of adopt that. And then everyone's building on the common on-chain infrastructure. And I think that's what I would love to see happening in this space. I just wanted to throw that out.
Hey, Nori, I have a small question. Are you thinking all the information would be on chain?
That's something to be thought through. Like there's privacy stuff and maybe there's some midnight stuff, but I don't know. We need to figure out what that means. Either put it on, I just, everyone's putting stuff into private databases and nobody else can leverage that unless there's an API or something. But how do we leverage our on-chain distributed network to help have a common infrastructure for this kind of stuff?
I will
I,
shoot.
Ooh, yeah,
Sorry.
let's let Maureen, go ahead. Because I think that got a lot of response, like this idea of an open protocol for profiles as opposed to a private database. Even if that private database has an API, it's still, yeah, there's still some stuff around that.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that we are building the application layer now. Right now, it just uses a traditional database, but we are designing it to integrate with on-chain identity standards as they mature. So Andamio integration is going to be integrated on, sorry, I just realized I said integration, integrated. It's going to be added to it. So there will be that. I think that's a step one, kind of, to blockchain native identity, right? So, and I think the beautiful thing about starting with a working platform is we can migrate to on-chain infrastructure as it becomes available. So, but right now, we don't have any, but I think it's awesome, Nori. That's brilliant.
Nori does it all the time, FYI, and he shares freely, so we love him for that. But what I hear you saying is like, hey, let's start with one, get the get it, get some momentum in it, and then it will integrate not just with um integrate with the standard. And then you mentioned that there are these on-chain identity standards. Um, you know, Atala Prism slash Identis, but then there's a bunch of other type of identity standards that are out there. Um, yeah, and that it's built, your tool is built, and that could be a feature that we want to lean into. Because we are on the path of decentralizing, and that our profiles, and it's just like, oh, to put my profile into another thing, more and more I'm starting to be concerned about privacy, et cetera, et cetera. So that's good to hear. That's good to hear that that's on the roadmap, is to move to a sort of an open identity standard. Yeah.
I agree with a bit of Nori that instead of designing the platform how it should, like that, I think that's like a secondary issue. How do we show the data? But it's like what information people even want to share, and so that it's shared in standardized format. And once we know what we collect, then you can already start the experiment. And maybe the dashboard is not really used for visualization, but actually like aggregating and like helping people to make the on-chain transaction of what is needed on there. And maybe coupling it with like Andamia, because you also create a profile in a sense that you create like a token, and whenever you learn something, if you mint an asset, you technically minted a skill set for yourself or something that somebody else is looking for. But yeah, I think that's also like secondary, because the hard part will be if you use like the bare metadata to share information. What if people has information that they are only willing to share in certain circumstances? Then it has to be hashed, and then there has to be again some kind of server reading that, and you still have siloism created. Because even though, for example, I mentioned in the chat that I could pull hundreds of people from swarm data on chain and associate it with specific skills. But there are different networks there, where some networks are like public, and I could compare the Google Sheet that has the corresponding wallet address. But all the other, like over half of the networks that we provided the service didn't want the names associated anywhere with their wallet address, just the wallet address. So then you have just wallet address with all of these skills, but people still don't know who they are.
Right.
Maybe if the platform could make that happen, that okay, these are all the developers, you get a list of 20 of them, you don't know who they are, and you're able to send a message to them, and maybe you pay 5 ADA for each of sending posted, just to connect them and get attention to your whatever proposal. But even that, I feel, has been somewhat tried, or it wasn't really specific that smart contract, but when the ADA adapter, or I don't know what was the name, they created this situation where you have a specific need, you want like a skill that was, I think, consultancy related stuff, and you put the money up front, and those who have the skill had able to kind of select it, or agree to the time and the task. So it's almost like a bounty to do the thing you're like to do the consultancy. And I think even early game when Piotr was in the Gimbalabs, there was some kind of similar application created. So if maybe something can pull there, like how any of the portfolios were set up there. Was there any on-chain like metadata associated with these portfolios, or everything was on private server?
Yeah.
Have we seen the new proposal from Maureen sufficiently yet? It feels like we're speculating about something that we haven't really spent time looking
Yeah,
at.
that's true. Yeah, that's true. Maureen, is this an edifying conversation for you? You can ask us questions, or if you want to go into the proposal, this is sort of we're focused in on you. We want to make sure that you're supported and get what you need from us.
Yeah, I was listening, but I didn't quite catch what Tavo was saying. So maybe a TLDR would help.
Yeah, based on Tevo, based on what you've said so far, like what sort of insight can you give to Maureen about as we've talked this out in the last few minutes?
I think the first thing is what is the minimal protocol that people input, and how do you address their and also considering that the highest priority, I guess, is to get it on a standard, fixing it on chain somehow. Like we mentioned metadata here, but usually James, I feel like he doesn't like it. If it's not datum, it's useless. And so maybe that's like an higher level of how do you put it into datums, all the information that you need about a portfolio and then how do you address the privacy before you even go to the platform? Like you can pull the platform on top of that, but what is the data source you're going to use? Because right now, to me, it just feels you're creating another space where you have to pull people into, and you also need to start to like maintain or make it useful. But I wouldn't suggest to make it for useful for the people who come to you and ask, where can I find the developer, or where can I find that? Like if they really want to find it, there is so many ways to do it. And of course, this like one-to-one connection makes sense. And the only reason maybe she asking you is because you're in that she wants your network, not the platform where everything is. It just wants who you trust to do this development tasks or marketing task or whatever. So there is difference and nuance on the questions too. Anyway, that wasn't really too long to
Yeah,
read.
those are very smart questions, people. For the minimum protocol input, I would say that we just need your name, contact method. It could be your X handle, your email, your Telegram, Discord, doesn't matter. As long as you're comfortable sharing that, because we are in Web3, people are paranoid. And we have the service category, and that's it. Everything else, like bio, skills, the project history, and so on, uh, is recommended. Uh, but we are not asking for government IDs or invasive personal data. So for the second question, you talked about the highest priority. I think that getting the platform working and people actually using it is the top priority right now. Um, I haven't checked the request for 2 weeks, and I just noticed that I have 15 people pending approval. So that's nice. And
Yeah.
I only made one tweet. So I think maybe that's good or bad. I don't know. Maybe I think it's good. I think it's good. So I'm just looking at a lot of potential here for uh, But let me answer your question. So on-chain identity is philosophically important, but practically for me, it's not the blocker. The blocker is that people cannot find each other today. And you did say that if somebody really wants to find them, they can. And one of the easiest method is to ask somebody, right? And let me tell you something funny. I wanted a designer like months ago. I messaged Jenny and she recommended one to me. And yeah, I messaged them on X, well, or I tried to. Turns out they blocked me, but that's not the point. The point
Oh,
is that the point is uh, the whole process of talking to someone. And what if I didn't know Jenny? What if it was also another person like me who didn't know a designer? So yeah, it's true that sometimes people need you to recommend a designer and not just some random person on the directory. But also sometimes people really just want a designer on Cardano or on Ethereum or on some other chain. So um yes, I think that we solve that first with traditional tech, then migrate to on-chain infrastructure as it matures. That is my answer to that. And you think if putting it on chain for me, but that's my opinion, is not top priority because um, Cardano already has Cardano's identity infrastructure is still developing, right? Most users aren't really ready for wallet-based identity. So I think solving the discovery problem now and then, just moving on as it goes or as it matures. But that is again my opinion. And the second, the one you talked about, the metadata considerations. Um, yes, we are storing professional information, your skills, your contact preferences. There is no financial data, not at this level anyway. So, um, and for privacy, users can control what they display, right? If you want to use a pseudonym like the one you use on X, that's up to you. It's you just need to show a way for people to contact you. And in my proposal, I did mention that there is going to be um, a way for them to contact each other, so they don't necessarily have to go outside of the platform. Like you don't need to go to someone's X externally to be able to contact them. So that's a part of the future. Yes, Devo.
yeah, go ahead, man.
On another side, what if the platform you're writing is meant to for every community or every network to create their own portfolio? So you don't create like a one site for everybody, but everybody uses your site to create their network. So, for
Mm.
example, we have Intersect MBO. They are collecting information, people, and they have skills, and maybe even I have put some portfolio into that portal, but nothing is navigatable. Nobody sees it. Um,
Mm.
but like, if yeah, I wonder like, then I wonder is it still a platform then? Because I feel
Well,
like there is gonna be a blocker again, like trying to make like another site, another database rather than another standard. Like there is a difference between.
hmm. Let's we're coming up on the 15-minute warning, and we do keep to the time just to respect everybody's time. This is a 90-minute meeting. I would love, and Harsha, let me know if this sounds too obvious. I would love to get a reaction round. It's just to react, and you can pass if you're not feeling, or if you're just listening in. But let's do a round of just reaction to this idea or Maureen's proposal. If you've got something to share, or if you have a question, just a reaction round. But I'd love to get everybody's voice on, and of course, if you're just listening in, you can just pass or just pause for a few seconds. Let's start with Harsha and then go to Adrian.
So
Just a reaction. You got questions, anything?
yeah, I do have a question. So my question is, how can Gimbalabs help Maureen in moving
Yeah.
this forward?
Yep. That is a great question. All right. We'll keep that in mind as we go around the round. Thanks, Harsha, Adrian, and then Ahmed.
No reaction. Pass.
Thanks, man. Ahmed and then Andrew. They might be listening in.
No
No, okay.
reactions actually. No reaction.
Oh, all right, cool, man. Thanks. Andrew and then Gideon.
Hi, everyone. Okay, yes, some interesting talk on the subject. I guess my feedback is that I know the reservations that people of other platforms have tried the same thing. It hasn't really been a lift off. I do get that, but I do ultimately think that there is a value to this, and I think it is important. And I mean, so much of the Web3 sort of crypto communication exists on these existing social media platforms, and it's really fragmented. And maybe the potential implementation of it isn't quite right yet, but I do think there's a value to it. To have somewhere where we can go to, and we can, we can know, and there can be credentials that you are dealing with people who have Web3 skills. So yeah, I won't waffle on anymore. Next person.
Thanks, Andrew. That was good. That was good. I think Gideon and then James.
All right. So I'm just listening. So no reaction from me.
Hi. Thanks for coming off. It's good to hear you. Thanks for being here. James and then Lewis.
I'm a little bit disappointed by this conversation just because I think we've lost touch of the consent process that we worked so hard to build in season 5. And what I just heard is several people who have maybe been thinking about something that sounds like the title of what Maureen is trying to do, have a lot of opinions about that from experience, but I don't think we actually looked at the proposal that Maureen prepared. And I just want to make sure that if we are, if we're changing the process, that's great. And if we want to just have like, here's a topic, let's talk about it. But if we're going to stick to the consent process that we worked hard to establish, I don't think we hit it today. And I'd like to do better in the future.
Sure enough. Thanks, James. Then Lewis.
Sorry, I just want to get something straight. Yeah, I ended up getting an important phone call in between the session, right? Are we still talking about Marines ADA experts?
Yep. Were you able
Uh,
to do you have a reaction, an opinion, or something to share?
to be honest, I liked it from the get-go, right? Thinking of it in terms of a place for a community hub, right? If I'm not wrong. So, did she get to present her Google Doc?
No, but
Okay.
that's good feedback.
Then I can't consent to anything yet.
Well, yeah, not a consent, this is the first stage of the consent process where we have a reaction. We had a presentation and a discussion from Maureen, and now we're just having that initial reaction. So thanks, Lewis, and then let's see, Maureen, we'll let you go at the end. Let's go to Nelson and then Nori.
Yeah, I think also like I think we could have looked at like it would have been much more insightful if we knew exactly what Marin is bringing to the table, right?
Yeah.
But overall, with regards to the conversation, we know that identity is a hard issue that's been brought up all the time, like in various processes. So I think people who are working like on the Andamio side, I think we are also trying to hit something that, that's very close to how to solve this identity thing. And I think what Maureen is bringing is also something that, might help both of us think better in that terms. So right. So I think, yeah, bringing these people who are thinking on their own, bringing this together and collaborating on this and having these kinds of conversation, I think if we get a proper transcript for this, I think we might have some next action items. So yeah, I think everyone who is thinking about these problems in their own should come together and work together in some moderated ways, like James mentioned, like if we're going to go through the consent process, and that might help set up what are our next steps. What can this party do better, and what can Maureen get better? And if there are other people who are thinking differently, we might want to get an opinion on that. So yeah, I think this conversion helps, and I think it it would have been better if we saw the proposal and see what's the new thing that's brought up to the table. Yeah.
For sure, for sure. Okay, thanks, Nelson. Nori, and then Tevo.
Yeah, just I think I echo what has been mentioned around. It would be, yeah, I don't know what to say because Maureen didn't get a chance to actually present. So I think that's a good starting point for us to remember that.
For sure.
And I think it's also really great to have clarity that that's what the space is doing as an operating model, is bring presentations and then understanding also what the ask is of Gimbalabs. And then that will help lead into the consent process for next steps. So I look forward to seeing that get more back on track.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you, Nori, Tevo, and then Xanders.
If I understood it correctly, the proposal is trying to connect people with and basically connect people who need each other, or like one need one side. And where right now I stumble is maybe on understanding like the clarity, how much is understood what we already have. And even and the concern is like if the platform is for people to bring their portfolios in, it may not be enough because there is already platforms that bring people in. However, if it's going to think about already how people are finding each other in Cardano network using the forums and Twitter and asking, basically the method of asking is the way that we want people to practice. And if it also provides the education for people how to engage with Cardano, where to find them, I would be more like optimistic about this project.
Okay. Thanks, Tevo. And Exanus?
Yeah, good afternoon. Good afternoon, Newman.
Hey.
Yeah. I've been listening for a while, and I kind of have a project that is kind of similar to what we have here. And it's also about it's drive towards social impacts and governance basically. And yeah, what Tevo and Nori said about the identity and privacy. Well, my own perspective is that privacy is a spectrum. It's dependent on each individual how much they are willing to divulge or put out there. So I feel the best way is to like set a conventional um framework that will be accepted as okay, this is the level of information each individual is willing to place on chain as their social identity on chain. And now it now boils down to social interactions. If you create a platform for Cardano developers and Cardano users to like actually like interact. It depends on if each individual is willing to interact with each other. So, and it is when they interact with each other that they can find out more information that is like really necessary to develop and all of that. So that was just my point of view. I tried to drop it in chat the other time, but I got disconnected.
Well, thanks for sharing. Thanks for sharing that here. Really appreciate it. Now, Maureen, let's give you some time. Unfortunately, we only have a few more minutes, but I'd love for you to come on and see if this was edifying to you, and if there's anything that you want to respond to directly. Um, you know, please come off mute, and you can do that now.
Okay, thank you very much, Newman. I saw the meeting is about to end, and I was like, oh no, a lot of questions were asked that I didn't get to respond to. So, Tivo said something the first time. He said that he would prefer or some kind of federated or open source model, like maybe WordPress, where everyone runs their own instance, but the software is the same. And I think it's an interesting approach. So let's say Cardano has its own directory, Solana has theirs, Ethereum has theirs, all using the same code base, operating independently. I think that's good, but the model is challenging because uh, the value of a discovery comes from having everyone in one place. If there are 10 different Cardano directories with 20 people, that's less useful than one directory with 200 people, right? And fragmentation is exactly the problem we are trying to solve, so it would defeat the purpose of that. There's also the practical issue of communities who don't have the resources or even the desire. Hell, I don't have the desire to maintain their own infrastructure like that. It's more work. They want a solution that just works. They don't want software they have to deploy and manage all over. So but there's a middle ground. I think we could maybe build ADA experts as the aggregator while making the data portable and exportable, if that makes sense. And then communities can pull that data via API to display on their own site. So that's what I would say for that. The other thing, sorry, I know I'm taking a lot of time here. The other thing I want to mention is that you said the platform is for people. If the platform is for people to bring their own portfolio, then maybe there is enough of that. We have a lot of those platforms already. And you mentioned something about education, and I just wanted to say that Andamio does education, and ADA expert does professional discovery. So together, people learn skills on Andamio, then immediately they list those skills on ADA expert to get work. I'm still trying to understand exactly how Andamio works technically for this integration, and I'm hoping that's what Gimbalabs is. Uh, well, that's some of the things Gimbalabs can help us with. So it's a complete life cycle from learning to earning, I think. And the cycle we are building is, sorry, I make mistakes when I'm in a haste, but I think this is it, guys. I'm done. Sorry. I'm done.
Oh, good. No problem. Thank you so much. And we're here to support you, and hopefully we've done that today. Really want to thank everybody that commented and participated. And then in the next section we can come in. We'll definitely make sure to focus more in on your proposal and give you a little bit more time to get into that.
Yeah, sorry,
So
I put the document in the chat for everyone.
and I posted it as a comment on the Notion proposal page. So we've got that there. And yeah, so please keep working. We're here to support, and I think that it's an important part for this community. That being said, it's also an important part for us to move on to the next part of our day. Thank you so much for participating. Harsha, is there any last words before we shut down the recording?
No, that should be it. I think we are shutting down right on time.
All right. Thank you so much, everybody. We'll see you next time and see you on the Discord.